Namaskar. Myself Dr. Deepthi Bisht, Professor, Kai Chikitsa, Faculty of Ayurvedic Sciences, Jyoti Vidyapeeth, Women's University, Jaipur. In today's session for class 4 year BMS, I am going to discuss the topic influenza. So let's start with the introduction. Influenza is commonly known as flu. It is an infectious disease usually caused by virus and primarily affects the respiratory tract, and it carries a significant mortality. Causes, as you know, there are three types of seasonal influenza viruses: type A, type B, and type C. Influenza type A viruses are further classified into subtypes according to the combinations of two different proteins which are present on the virus surfaces, that is hemagglutinin, that is H, and second is neuraminidase, that is N. The subtypes of influenza A viruses currently circulating among humans are influenza A, H1N1, and influenza A, H3N2 subtypes. Other subtypes are H2N2, H5N1, H3N3, etc. Now, circulating influenza B viruses can be divided into two main groups. This is called lineages. There are no subtypes of type B influenza. There are two main groups. First one is referred to as B by Yamagata, and another is B by Victoria lineages. So these are circulating influenza B viruses. The third one, influenza type C virus, is detected much less frequently and usually causes mild infections and thus presents less significant public health impact. So influenza A and influenza B viruses circulate and they causes outbreaks and epidemics often, and due to this reason, relevant strains of A and B influenza viruses are included in our seasonal influenza vaccine. Some common serotypes which are confirmed in humans and have past potential epidemics are H1N1, which was the positive agent behind the Spanish flu in 1980, and then swine flu in 2009. H2N2 was behind Asian flu in 1957. H5N1 was the causative agent for bird flu in 2004, and then H7 and N9, which is rated in 2018 as having greatest pandemic potential. Now, mode of transmission. Influenza can spread by three main ways. First is direct transmission. When an infected person sneezes mucus directly into the eyes, nose, or mouth of another person. Second is airborne route. That is when someone inhales the aerosol produced by the infected person, coughing, sneezing, or spitting. Third one is through hand to eye, hand to nose, hand to mouth transmission, either from contaminated surfaces or from direct personal contact such as handshake, etc. So these are the mode of transmission for influenza virus. Now coming to clinical features, approximately 33% of people are asymptomatic. Symptoms of influenza can start quickly, suddenly, 1 to 2 days after the infection, and symptoms may include fever, which is usually high grade, like 100 to 103 degrees Fahrenheit. There may be associated extreme coldness, like chills, shivering, or rigor. Cough may be present with sputum or without sputum. There may be nasal congestion, running nose, sneezing, watering from reddened eyes, body aches, especially joints, and especially throat pain is also present sometimes. Headache, reddened eyes, skin, mouth, throat, and nose is seen. Facial rashes are also present in sometimes. Then in children, gastrointestinal symptoms such as diarrhea and abdominal pain may be present, and it may be severe if children is infected with influenza B virus. Viral pneumonia may occur, which is also fatal kind of pneumonia. Rare extrapulmonary manifestations can be seen like myositis, myocarditis, pericarditis, and neurological complications like Reeves syndrome in children, encephalitis, or transverse mischief. So these are some clinical features and with some complications. Uh, Before moving, we should discuss some point of differentiation between this influenza viral flu and common cold. Common cold is different from this infectious disease. In case of common cold, the features like fever and headache are usually uncommon. Body aches and pain, fatigue, exhaustion, these are very moderate, or sometimes these are not present there. Stuffy nose, sneezing, and sore throat. These are common signs which are seen in common cold. Chest comfort and chest discomfort and cough is usually mild to moderate. So these are signs and symptoms of common cold. But when it is flu or when it is seasonal viral fever, then the fever which comes will be usually high grade, that is 100 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, often with chills. Headache and body aches are very common. Fever usually lasts for 2 to 3 weeks, and there is stuffy nose, sneezing, and throat, but it will be very less when we compare it with common cold, and cough will be painful and very common in case of flu virus infection. So these are some point of differential diagnosis between common cold and flu. Now, next coming to high risk group people, some persons who are under high risk, and for them this simple influenza virus infection can be proved fatal or dangerous. These are people with underlying medical conditions such as asthma and other chronic lung diseases, diabetic mellitus, heart diseases, chronic renal or liver diseases, disorders of weakened immune systems like HIV or AIDS, carcinoma, medications for certain conditions, for example, steroids for suppression of immune system in cases of organ transplant. Then if patient is taking chemotherapy for cancer, management of certain type of arthritis such as rheumatoid arthritis through steroids, biologics, immunosuppressant drugs. Similarly, Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis where patient is taking steroids, biologics, or immunosuppressant medicines. So, under all these conditions, usually the immunity of the patient is usually very down. So this virus can affect the health very severely. Similarly, some blood disorders like anemia, sickle cell anemia, and neurological and neurodevelopmental disorders are also considered under high risk group patients. Similarly, morbid obesity and children receiving long-term ASA therapy, pregnant women, especially in their second and third trimester, and women who were recently pregnant within last 6 weeks, all these groups are considered as high risk groups, and they should be protected from this flu viral infection adequately and properly. Now the investigation for influenza viral infection, usually blood tests are not required. The investigations which are usually done are rapid molecular assays. Then there is reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction, RT-PCR, which is usually done for seeing the viral load. Then antigen detection test or rapid influenza diagnostic test is again done to detect the antigen. Viral tissue culture is done to see the type of virus which is present. And for these tests, Nasopharyngeal swab or nasal swab is usually required. The most common diagnostic retrospective seroconversion test is rapid influenza diagnostic test, and influenza A, H1N1 and H2N2 virus is detected in serum through this test. Now management basically involves around three things, that is, first of all, early diagnosis, second is structural hand hygiene, third is infection control to limit spread by coughing and sneezing. So these are the basic three preventive measures which are very much of importance while treating viral infections or while preventing the spreading of this infection. Then antiviral drugs for influenza are available in some countries and they may reduce severe complications and death. And ideally, they need to be administered early, that is within 48 hours of onset of symptoms in the disease. So there are two classes of such medicine. First one is inhibitors of influenza neuroimmunidase protein. This is oseltamivir and zanamivir, as well as peramivir and lenacapavir. These are the drugs which are inhibitors of influenza neuroimmunidase protein. Second group is M2 proton channel blocker, adamantane, to which virus resistance has been frequently reported and so limiting the effectiveness of treatment with this medicine. So these are some common antiviral drugs which are usually required. Now then, prevention is better than cure in case of any viral infection. So isolation and quarantine of the diseased one should be done. Maintenance of personal hygiene and quality of surroundings should be achieved. Seasonal vaccination of the elderly should be done to prevent the onset of symptoms. Then healthcare workers should always receive annual vaccination because these are the frontline workers who are always in danger line to be infected by this virus again and again. So they should receive annual vaccination. Similarly, some influenza vaccinations is also available for children, which is given to protect the children from recurrent viral infections. Now, after influenza, coming to the Ayurvedic management of influenza disease, how we can manage this influenza. तो आयुर्वेद संहिताओं में इन्फ्लुएंजा का ऐसे ही वर्णन नहीं मिलता है, लेकिन हम इसे इसके लक्षणों के आधार पर श्लैष्मिक ज्वर के अंतर्गत रखकर हम इसकी चिकित्सा कर सकते हैं। इसका पहला चिकित्सा सूत्र है निदान परिवर्जन, अर्थात इसमें हमें बहुत ज्यादा भीड़ वाले स्थानों पर जाने से बचना चाहिए, बहुत अस्वच्छ स्थानों पर जाने से बचना चाहिए। दूषित वायु और अस्वच्छ जगह इस रोग को उत्पन्न करने में सहायक होते हैं, इनका त्याग करना चाहिए। उसी तरह से कंटामिनेटेड फूड आइटम्स, कंटामिनेटेड सराउंडिंग शुड आल्सो बी अवॉइडेड। दूसरा, चिकित्सा व्यवस्था में जो हम इसमें चिकित्सा कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि ये श्लैष्मिक ज्वर है तो इसमें हमें कफनाशक चिकित्सा संपूर्ण प्रकार से करनी पड़ेगी। इसके लिए कुछ उदाहरण है, जैसे नारदीय लक्ष्मी विलास रस, त्रिभुवन कीर्ति रस, शुद्ध चंपण एवं श्रृंग भस्म। इनको रोगी की अवस्था के अनुसार मात्रा निर्धारित करके एक कंबाइंड कॉम्बिनेशन फॉर्म में सुबह शाम मधु के साथ भोजन उपरांत इसको दिया जा सकता है। इससे जो काफी इससे जल्दी रिलीफ मिलता है सिम्टम्स में विदाउट एनी साइड इफेक्ट। उसी तरह से गोजीबादी क्वाथ, तिरीशादी क्वाथ, इस तरह के क्वाथ का प्रयोग कर सकते हैं, जो हम 20 से 30 मिलीलीटर की मात्रा में सुबह शाम भोजन के बाद रोगी को दे सकते हैं। इससे जो जमा हुआ कफ है बहुत तेजी से निकल जाता है। अगर पेशेंट को सांस लेने में दिक्कत हो रही है तो उसमें भी काफी आराम मिलता है। इसके अलावा जो नाक आंख से जो पानी जा रहा है वो भी काफी हद तक उसमें रुक जाता है। उसके अलावा अबले की फॉर्म में हम दे सकते हैं चित्रखरीद की, या फिर हरिद्रा खंड, या फिर हरिद्रा आद्रक अबले। इस तरह की चीज, ये कफनाशक है और साथ में थोड़ा वात का भी शमन करते हैं, तो ये काफी ज्यादा इफेक्टिव रहते हैं ट्रीटमेंट में। उसके अलावा अमृतारिष्ट, द्राक्षारिष्ट रोगी की रोगी के बल अबल अनुसार दिया जा सकता है। हरिद्राखंड का प्रयोग दिया जा सकता है। उसी तरह से ज्वर में प्रयुक्त जितने भी पथ्य अपथ्य हैं, खास करके फ्लैशमिक ज्वर में प्रयुक्त जो भी पथ्य अपथ्य हैं, उनका इसमें पालन किया जा सकता है। जैसे कि षडम पानीय का प्रयोग काफी लाभदायक रहेगा। दिन भर में रोगी साधारण पानी ना पी के गर्म उबला हुआ पानी पिए, उसके अलावा षडम पानी का क्वाथ बना करके उसको ही बार बार पिए, तो उससे ज्वर शीघ्र अतिशीघ्र निकल जाएगा। हाई ग्रेड फीवर में बहुत जल्दी रिलीफ मिलेगा। जो रोगी की जो एपेटाइट जो लॉस हुई है वो बहुत जल्दी वापस आ जाएगी, उसे भूख लगने लगेगी। उसके अलावा जो उसके दूसरे सिम्टम है, जैसे नाक आँख से पानी बहना, गले में खराश होना, कफ का ज्यादा निकलना, वो इन सब लक्षणों में भी काफी जो है आराम मिलेगा। उसके अलावा जो उसका फीवर है, जो उसका ज्वर है, जो काफी दिनों तक रहने वाला था, लगभग 5 से 7 दिनों तक, वो काफी हद तक 1 से 2 दिनों में ही, 2 से 3 दिनों में ही समाप्त हो जाता है। तो ये इन्फ्लुएंजा का आयुर्वेदिक उपचार है जिसे हम कर सकते हैं। उसके अलावा घर में प्रयुक्त होने वाली कुछ साधारण चीजें हैं, जैसे कि काली मिर्च का प्रयोग, अदरक का प्रयोग, सूंठ का प्रयोग, हल्दी का प्रयोग, ये सारा रोगी का खान पान में कर सकते हैं। काढ़ी मिर्च कर सकते हैं, तुलसी पत्र का प्रयोग थोड़ा सा, ये सारा जो है रोगी के खान पान में इत्यादि में शामिल करके रोगी को ज्यादा से ज्यादा जो है हम कंफर्ट दे सकते हैं। तो ये इन्फ्लुएंजा का मैनेजमेंट और साथ में उसका आयुर्वेदिक मैनेजमेंट आज हमने पढ़ा। नेक्स्ट लेक्चर में हम पढ़ेंगे कुछ और टॉपिक चिकित्सा के साथ। धन्यवाद, नमस्कार।